Welcome back to the GCN Racing News Show. This week, the best race that you've never heard of? We take a look at the amazing Pittsburgh Dirty Dozen. We've also got the latest Cyclocross World Cup from Koksijde and a scintillating attack from our very own Si Richardson in the GCN Zwift Tuesday night race. No, not that clear. That's for the GCN show tomorrow. First up, it's the Pittsburgh Dirty Dozen. Now, if you watched the GCN show around this time last year, then you may well be aware of what this is all about, but please allow me to explain again. So the organisers found the 13 steepest and toughest climbs in the area, and they managed to squeeze them into a 50-mile ride. The race is neutralised between the climbs, and then you just go hell for leather up each one, a bit like the ultimate KOM competition, with points scored at the top of each and every climb. This year was the 36th running of the event, organised by local legend Danny Chu, and it was as brutal as ever. Made even more brutal, in fact, by the atrocious weather conditions this year. 37% gradients in the dry? Horrific. 37% gradients in the cold and wet? Next level torture, I think you'll agree. Those gradients appear on the most notorious of those climbs, Canton Avenue, and as you can see, to add further pain, it's also cobbled. At the front it's a race, but you don't have to go very far back to get to riders who are just trying to get over the climbs without putting their foot down or coming off. What's even more annoying, as you can visibly see now, is when you have to stop because of somebody else's mistake. That man wasn't very happy, was he? Amazingly, a man called Jeremiah made it up all the climbs on a heavy, healthy bike, which is the local bike share scheme. So I doff my cap to you, sir. Thanks, by the way, to Bike Pittsburgh for that clip. Now, this is definitely type 2 fun, i.e. you enjoy it once you finish, but there's something about this event that really makes me want to go over and ride it myself. So hopefully one year I'll get myself over there. Sunday saw the 5th round of the UCI Cyclocross World Cup take place on the sand dunes of Koksijde in Belgium. There, in the women's race, a strong group forged clear in the first third of the race, including the current world champion Sanaka, along with Bramier, Verst, Del Carmen Alvarado and Compton. However, it was Denise Betsema of Marlux Bingo that caused the big surprise on the day. Having started well down the grid, the 25-year-old had a lot of work to do just to get herself on terms. But having done that, she then showed everybody a clean pair of sandy wheels to take her second win of the weekend and her first ever victory in the UCI World Cup, which more than qualifies her to be this week's GCN Rider of the Week. Bramier took her best result of the season with second place just ahead of European champion Verst. World Cup leader Mariana Vos, though, had a bit of a shocker and could only manage 12th place on the day, although that was enough for her to keep the series lead for the moment. In the men's race, copy script from last week. Sorry, I don't think I was supposed to read that bit out. In the men's race, it was possibly the most dominant performance yet by European champion Mathieu van der Poel, who already had a 16-second lead by the end of just one lap of racing. And the only people who ever saw him again were the spectators on the side of the course. Behind him, the world champion Van Aert recovered from a very poor start to eventually finish second, 25 seconds behind Van der Poel, with World Cup leader Toon Aerts rounding out the podium and retaining his series lead. The next round of the World Cup will be in Namur 2 days before Christmas, but before then there's a whole load of live action on our Facebook page, including the next round of the Soudal Classics from Hasselt this weekend, where we'll have Marty McDonald and Meredith Miller giving you commentary. So make sure you head over there to check that out and also set yourself a reminder. Sticking with cyclocross for just a few more moments though, former world champion Zdenek Stybar has confirmed that he will be participating at the Super Prestige in Diegem on the 30th of December. That is yet another race, in fact, that we have live on GCN, so make sure you don't miss that because it's going to be very interesting to see how he fares against Van der Poel. Right, we're going to move on to Zwift racing now. So last Tuesday was the first of the GCN race series on Zwift, and it took place on the New York course. Our very own Si Richardson and Hank Loseley-Williams took part. Si showing the young one how it's done with a blistering 338 watts average power and an incredible attack in the closing kilometres, which was brought back. Obviously, that's what we call a television attack, just to get a bit of attention, and he eventually finished in 24th place. I'm only joking, Si. That was a very good ride. Winner on the day was Gavin Dempster of Team Draft, who outsprinted teammate Adam Zimmerman. 4th place on that evening was Kim Little, and incidentally, he will be joining Si in the commentary box here at GCN for the final event in just over 1 week's time. Tomorrow night though, if you're watching this on Monday, is round 2 of 3, and it's heading up Outdo Zwift. And as such, we've got our resident climbers representing GCN. Not me, of course, but Emma Pooley and Oscar Pujol. I've got very high hopes for them, I have to admit, so you can find it live on Zwift's YouTube channel. Lotto Soudal, the Belgian World Tour squad, have made a new signing to their women's team. Not major news in itself, but what makes this different is that the new signing, Maria Dessart, is the World Gran Fondo champion in the 35 to 39 age group. So it's going to be again interesting to see if she can make her mark in the world of professional cycling. Team UAE Emirates appear to be having a major shake-up in their staff for 2019. Last week, they announced that the Australian duo of Alan Piper and Neil Stevens would be joining them as sports directors next year. Last week, we also told you that Irish champion Conor Dunn had found a new home for next season with the Israel Cycling Academy. But this week, it emerged through Cycling Weekly that his wages there will be covered by Rick Delaney. The ex-Aqua Blue Sport boss has come in for quite a bit of criticism recently, so it's very good to see him stay true to his word and pay out the contracts of riders who had one running through 2019. And this story actually reminded me of my own story from 2008, where I only found a team that January, and because it was so late in the day, there was basically no budget left to pay me any wages. So Nick Collins, the boss of my former team, DFL Cycling News, paid me out of his own pocket for the entire year, as too did Barry Clark, who's been a long-time financial supporter of the Bournemouth Arrow Cycling Club. Neither one of them asked anything in return, and without them, I'd never have got to ride the biggest races in the world and likely wouldn't be sat here right now. So I've got a lot to thank them for. There really are some huge unsung heroes in our sport of cycling, and so although Rick Delaney has come in for a fair amount of criticism recently, it's great to see him staying true to his word and covering the wages of any riders who were contracted for 2019 and who couldn't find another paying team, something which he didn't actually have to do. Finally this week, it was reported in the French newspaper La Voix du Nord that the infamous cobbles of Arenberg Forest from Paris-Roubaix are to be made safer. Now, there may be a few people who will be up in arms at this prospect, but I, for one, am all for it, and I'll tell you why. They're not attempting to make them any easier, only safer, through the removal of moss and grass from between the cobblestones. I have to tell you that when Matt and I hit that sector at half the speed of the pros earlier on this year, I was scared to death. Basically, it's been 16 years since we had a wet Paris-Roubaix, during which time the conditions of the cobbles has deteriorated quite significantly, and I think it would literally be like an ice rink now if you mixed in some rain. Maybe I'm just a wimp. In fact, I probably am just a wimp, but I wouldn't want to see a pro cyclist's career come to an end just because some cobbles haven't been cleaned. Right then, that is almost it for this week's Racing News Show, but before I go, a quick reminder that you have only got until midnight on Wednesday to take advantage of some fantastic prices over on the GCN shop, including our metallic range of casual and cycling gear, plus many other sale items. There will be a link to the shop in just a few moments, and it will also be in the description below this video. I'll be back next week at the same time with all the latest news from the world of professional cycling. In the meantime though, we have had some fantastic comments underneath our epic ride video from Oman with Emma and Travolta. So if you haven't seen that one already, be sure to do so now. You can find it just down here.